I am the queen of very long knitting podcasts. Hello and welcome to episode 32 of the Paper Crane Yarns Knitting Podcast. My name is Ashley and I am a knitter, yarn dyer, and yarn store owner located in Central Alabama, USA. And I'm coming to you today from my yarn store, which is called Paper Crane Yarns. That's also my line of hand-dyed yarns, but we carry plenty of other beautiful yarns, bags, notions, things you would find in a yarn shop. And I can now call myself a fiber dyer because this past week, I finally reached a new professional goal. My goal going into 2024 was to expand my fiber dyeing to actual fiber, not just yarns. So yeah, I'm super excited. I've gotten started. It's going really well. So I'll have more information on that when I'm ready to start selling those, but I'm super excited. It's been a lot of fun. But anyway, so you can find me on Instagram as Paper Crane Yarns as well as Ravelry. And we do also have a Facebook page for the shop, but it's not like an active group or anything. It's more for people to stay in touch with updates to our hours and sales and whatnot. But it is there, and all of those things are linked below, as well as information about the projects and stuff that I talk about today. Yeah, I'm excited to sit down and go over all of my amazing projects. I've been having so much fun with my making, lots and lots of knitting, lots of spinning. And today is actually Sunday, December 31st, 2023. So it's the last day of the year. It's a little bit past 1 in the afternoon and the day is flying by. So by the time this video goes up, it'll be January, which is exciting. So today's video is going to be mostly just what I've been working on. So the things that I finished, I'll have my works in progress, and I do have some purchases to show you guys at the end, some really fun stuff, mostly from Simply Serving. Yeah, so we'll get started with my finished objects. So first up, we'll go with what I'm wearing. This is my Violeta pullover by Claudia Quintanilla of Unit Toronto. She's an amazing designer. She has lots of these gorgeous, very feminine patterns, and this one is just incredible. So I knit this as part of the knit along that they are still currently holding. I think it ends at the end of January, but they have a Ravelry group, and on their Instagram you can double check. I finished mine really early because I wanted to wear this to an event, and I got to, so that was great. The yarns that I used for this pullover are my hand-dyed yarns. This is my Aurra colorway, and Aurra is the name of my daughter, so this is very special to me yarn. There are 2 yarns here held double. I've got my fingering weight merino nylon base, and then a silk mohair. And again, they're both my Aurra colorway, and I just love this color. It is in my opinion, gorgeous, blushy, peachy kind of tone with some cream elements, and then there's a little hint of this light blue periwinkle, and then there are these kind of pinky orange speckles. So it's a kind of a subtle colorway, but I think it's gorgeous. It's to date my best-selling colorway and my personal favorite. I love it very much. It's actually pretty different than the first time I ever came up with this colorway, which was 2 years ago, I guess. First ever like batch that I did was more of a creamy white base with the salmony, peachy, and blue variegation in it. But I evolved it because I wanted it to have more of that pinky blush tone overall. So yeah, this is the standard now. So about the pattern, and my goodness, I just love this one. I've been trying not to wear it too much because I really want to keep this one nice. But a little bit about the pattern. So this pattern has options. You can knit it top down or bottom up. I definitely prefer top down, so that's what I went with. You start with the neckline, and with the neckline there are also options. And of course my microphone is pulling down on it right now. Normally it sits up more like that, but I knit a folded over neckline, so there's 2 layers of fabric there. They also have a loose cowl neck version written into the pattern, or you could just do a single layer, basically this, but not folded over. And I decided to do the folded over neck because even though I really love the look of the cowl, I just kind of want more necklines like this in my wardrobe, something with a little bit of structure when it's not being dragged down by the microphone. So yeah, folded over neckline, really nice process for this folded over neckline. I'm going to talk about this sweater in a little bit, but this designer, Teti, who's Teti's Knit Garden, I test knit this pullover behind me, and she had instructions for actually folding over the neckline as you're actively knitting it, whereas patterns I've done in the past, you sew the neckline down at the end. So this was really easy. Well, this was really easy, and I used that technique to apply it to this pattern. And what you do is once you have all of the stitches, the full length that you need for your neckline, you actually go ahead and with those live stitches, you knit 2 together with the corresponding stitch from the cast on edge. So you just reach down with your needle, you scoop up that little, of course it's kind of tight because it's a cast on edge, but you just scoop that up, put it on your stitch or your needle and knit those 2 together. And you do it all the way around, and it's beautiful, and it avoids having to sew down at the end, which is my least favorite task in knitting. So I really like that technique. It's very easy. You just kind of have to be mindful and make sure you're picking up the correct stitch column. So that's that. Of course, it features this absolutely beautiful lace motif, and lace and cable motif down the center and the back. And it's a raglan construction as well, which I love because I think raglans look the most flattering on me since I have kind of a larger bust. I feel like raglans kind of help to de-emphasize that part of my body, which I prefer. So yeah, and these are like bracelet length sleeves. I could have knit them slightly longer, but I actually knit a cropped body. I'll stand up in a moment and show you. So I figured I'd make the sleeves kind of match the cropped nature of this design. I did knit also 1 fewer of the lace repeats in the body to crop mine slightly because my plan is to wear this mostly with skirts and dresses. And so I wanted it to hit my waist at a nice natural place for pairing with those kinds of garments. And then last note before I stand up, I did make a mistake and I didn't realize it. And it's not a big deal. I don't mind it at all. It was not worth fixing in my opinion, but I didn't even realize that when I was setting up, so I'll show you. Well, let me stand up and show you the sweater first. So notice right here. So when you're going to set up all of the different stitch markers, there's quite a few because you have your panels of lace, you've got your cable going down each arm. There's just a bunch of places that you kind of have to mark off so that you can keep track of all those stitches, make sure you're doing everything correctly. Obviously you have multiple stitch markers in place for your raglan increases, and I overlooked somehow establishing this cable row all the way up here. So this should really extend up to here. I was pretty disappointed when I realized when I had separated for the sleeves and I started on the body, I followed the instructions and I was a little bit confused because it made it seem like this should have been there, but at the same time, it made it seem like you were setting it up. So I kept looking at the project photos and the pattern photos, and I did realize it should have started up here. So that was my mistake, not reading the pattern clearly enough there. But because it is situated kind of right where there's a fold in the fabric, I figured it probably wouldn't be noticeable, and it's really not. So no big deal. But yeah, I just love this pullover. It's dreamy. It's so soft because of the silk mohair and the merino, and it's very warm despite this being like an open lacy panel because of the mohair. So I'm just really happy with this one. I think it's a nice color to have in my wardrobe, and it's just lovely. So I highly recommend this pattern. The last little thing is I did do the kind of long ribbing hem, and this is a positive ease kind of sweater, you know, of course, based on the size that you decide to knit. I think I made the size 2, which gave me just enough ease in the bust and plenty of ease in the body. So I just am so happy with this one. I'm taking a brief chai break. My really lovely friend Tammy, she gave me a gift card to our local coffee shop, which is an amazing coffee shop. And so anyway, I've had the chance to get a couple of treats this past week. So I stopped on my way over and got a dirty chai, a chai with oat milk and a shot of espresso. Okay, the next finished object I will show is an accessory. I have a couple of sweaters to show that I'm very excited about, but that's going to involve taking this off and situating my microphone. So first we'll do this little accessory. This is a Musselburgh hat. This is a Ysolda Teague pattern. Definitely nothing new for most of you, I'm sure. But this is the second one that I've knit. And I wanted this as a project in October when I was going to Rhinebeck so that I could have some really easy stockinette knitting. So I was in no hurry to get this done, but I was glad to go ahead and finish it up this past week just so I could have one fewer project on the needles. I was really trying to clear up like the older projects, you know, as you do when you're turning over a new leaf, so to speak, entering the new year. And I just finished my last test knit, so I was like, let's just go ahead and have a fresh palette. So anyway, I went ahead and finished this one. I used almost my entire skein of this yarn. This is a fingering weight. It's a merino nylon sock weight yarn from Lambstrings yarn, Lambstrings yarn, which is one of my favorite dyers. This colorway is called Sugar and Spice. It's really pretty. Now I've got the light right here, so unfortunately, the closer I bring things, the more it's getting blown out. But it's winter, so I kind of have to have the light. But maybe from back here you can kind of see it. It's creamy and gray, and there's these bright speckles of beautiful purple and pink and kind of burgundy. It's really lovely. And of course, I'm sure you are familiar with this, but in case you're not, this is the actual hat. It's very long because it's double. You push one side of it into the other. The side was my cast on. It's a little bit messy. I used the crochet hook cast on method that Knitty Natty, on her YouTube channel, she had a tutorial for it. The first Musselburgh that I knit, I used a different technique, and it was a little bit fiddly. It was a little bit like, I wanted to try something new because I didn't love it. This technique was actually really easy, but I used a hook. I think this is a little bit gappy because I used a crochet hook that was definitely too big for this kind of yarn, but I was in a hurry and I figured I'll just tuck this side inside. Nobody will see it except for all of you. And so this was my cast off, my bind off kind of side, which you actually this is one of those things where you thread a needle with your tail and you just run it through all the stitches and draw it closed. So it looks nice and neat. So that'll be the outside. I think I had it folded the other way when I first showed you. But anyway, I made this one longer than the first one I made because the first one fits me just right, like no slouch. It's very comfortable, but there's no fold in the brim either. And so for this one, I wanted to make one that would have a folded brim. And I'm really pleased with how it worked out. Now I'm going to pause this. So I used, I think, a US 2 needle perhaps for this, or maybe a 3. I think it was a 2.75 millimeter. I really like to knit fingering weight yarns on very small needles. That's the most comfortable style of knitting for my hands personally. And I knit the adult medium. I don't remember how many stitches I got per, I don't remember what my gauge was, but if you're familiar with this pattern, this is a swatchless pattern. So you just kind of start knitting. And then once you get, I think, an inch of fabric, she has you measure your gauge, and then that's how you will determine what your total stitch count should be for whichever size you're trying to achieve. So therefore, like your increase and decrease rates and all of that. I don't remember what my gauge was, but I do know that it changed halfway through the project, because when I was holding it out, I realized in the very center of the hat, my gauge was so loose. The other ends, the majority of the hat is very tight, very, very tight. But I remember when I was knitting what turned out to be the center of the hat, my husband and I did an outdoor movie night. So we set up we don't have instead of a television, we have a projector. And so we set up the projector outside in our garden, and we watched Forbidden Planet, which is a movie from, I think, 1954 or something. But we watched it on our house, and that was our date night. It was so fun, but it was dark and it was cold. And so I was knitting it and not looking at it, and somehow my gauge got so off. So anyway, at least I ended up in the middle of the hat, and the rest of it's nice and tight. So I don't know what my true gauge was, but I really like it. I'm excited to have one that folds, because I don't have any other hats that fold like this. This is actually only the second beanie I've made for myself, but I'm really happy with this one. I feel like the colors are very pretty. The other one that I have is a Long Dog Yarn Labyrinth colorway. So it's like a really out there purple kind of color. So it's nice to have something a little bit more neutral and kind of subtle, but still the pops of pink and purple. So yeah, that's an exciting one. Just a little bit of slouch, folds over. If I didn't fold it, it would slouch a lot. And this is how my husband likes to wear hats. So I'm planning on making him one eventually. I'll probably make it exactly like this one, because there's no fold and it has a nice long slouch, which I do kind of like too, but I feel like I have a large face, and so I feel like sometimes the slouchy doesn't do me justice. But anyway, I have options with this hat. So my next finished object is going to require a little wardrobe change. This one is so exciting because I started this project back in July, and I got like, I guess, 85, 90% finished with it. And then I had to put it in hibernation because I was short one skein of yarn. And since this is a hand-dyed yarn project, I had to wait 4 months for the last skein. So it's just been sitting and waiting. And finally, it was like right after I recorded my last episode, that last skein finally came in. And so a couple days ago, I finished the project. So this very exciting project is my Rose cardigan. Rose is an Andrea Mowry pattern. I would say it's probably one of her most unique patterns that she's ever done. The construction is definitely very different from others that I have seen. She has a lot of beautiful, like, elevated basics. This one I think is more than that. This one is really a lot of fun. Lots of there's lots of tedious work that goes into this, but it really pays off. So before I put it on, I'll just kind of show you. It'll be easier to show you like the way that I did the gradient for my yarns if I hold it up. 3 of these yarns came from Treehouse Knits, and the 4th yarn came from Aimee. Back in the beginning of the year, Treehouse Knits did a Lord of the Rings yarn collection with Long Dog yarn, and so Treehouse Knits, they came up with 3 colorways, and I just had to have all 3. And they pretty much worked together, but I had to order, I knew I was going to have to get 1/4 skein to help to tie the colors in. So I'm calling this cardigan my second breakfast cardi, because 3 of the colorways are Lord of the Rings, and then the 4th is called Peanut Butter and Jelly. So to me, it's kind of funny, but anyway. And this is a sport weight project, which is Treehouse Knits Sierra Sport base. And I love it. It's 100% merino. It's a 3-ply, I think. So this colorway here at the cuff and at the base of the sleeve is called River Anduin, and it is a gorgeous deep teal color. Hopefully the camera's not, hopefully the lighting behind me isn't adjusting it too badly, but it's a very rich, beautiful color, lots of depth. And then this next colorway is called The Stories That Really Mattered. and it features a lot of that same kind of teal, but it has more of a foresty green, and then it has some burnt orange kind of aspects, and then it also introduces very faintly, but some of the purple that comes from some of the same purple that the last colorway that I got from her has. I think I remember reading that this colorway is actually the same, like the base color is the same as this purple, but then it's overdyed with all these different layered colors. So I figured it would all come together. But again, I knew I needed a fourth color and something to help transition. There's still a pretty stark contrast, but when I'm wearing it, the fabric kind of bunches in a way that it doesn't look quite as stark. So the gradient kind of looks a little bit more natural. So this colorway, again, is Peanut Butter and Jelly by Aimee on her sport weight base, and it's beautiful. And then this colorway is called Worth Fighting For, and it's a lovely semi-solid tonal, just like River Anduin. So those are my 4 colors. I guess I'll go ahead and put it on, and then we'll talk more about it. So I am over the moon excited to have this one complete. Again, it was sitting there for so long. I kept getting this feeling like it's never going to be done, even though I knew that the yarn was ordered. It was just really dragging. So I'm so glad that the yarn came in just before the year was over. And that way I can just, it's done and I can enjoy it. And I've already worn it quite a bit. I really like this one. It's definitely a very fun color palette. I loved looking through all the Ravelry pages and seeing the different ways that people chose to make this. A lot of people did a really primarily, like similar to Andrea's sample knit with this Lobby Aimee kit that she made, where there's a lot of, it was like cream and really subtle neutral colors, and then maybe a pop of color at the sleeve. But I kind of wanted to go all out. So when I saw this collection, I just knew that this would be perfect, that these yarns would be a lot of fun for this kind of pattern. So I'm really happy. It's a very long cardigan. It's very oversized. The hem, you can see, is the Peanut Butter and Jelly colorway, and the collar is all the Worth Fighting For. It's definitely very oversized. I did track my gauge a little bit as I was knitting this, and I found that my gauge changed. So to talk a little bit about the construction for this pattern, it's knit in 4 quadrants, which is why it was a little bit tedious, because it was just a lot of like back and forth knitting, making these odd, weird rectangles, and then knowing that I was going to have to sew them all together at the end. And then you actually knit the collar pieces, both of them separately from each other and the cardigan itself. And then the last step is you seam the collar onto the sweater. So that was where I was stuck, because I only had enough yarn to do one side. But anyway, it's all done now. So the last skein that I got in of Worth Fighting For was unfortunately a pretty different dye lot from the other 3 that I had. 2? I had 2 previously. I needed 3, I only had 2. It was a pretty different dye lot, but since it ended up just on the collar, if it had been within the quadrant itself for the main body, I think it would have been worth ripping some of that out and maybe doing helical knitting or alternating skeins. But thankfully it was just the collar, and so I didn't mind. You can't really tell on the camera, but this one is lighter than this one. This one is more of like a pinky purple, and this is more of a blue purple. But anyway, that's all right. So the amount of yarn that I used for this is quite a bit of yarn. I used, I would say, 2/3 of the River Anduin skein. So I had 1 skein. I have a good bit left over. I used almost the full skein of the Stories That Really Mattered. And then Peanut Butter and Jelly, I initially ordered 1 skein, maybe 2 skeins. Yeah, I initially ordered 2 skeins. And then as I was approaching the end of the second one, I panicked and I thought I needed a third skein. And so I went ahead and ordered one. With it being Wabi and Aimee, that's very expensive. So I went ahead and ordered one, and then it turned out I didn't even need it. So I kicked it up and it's just sitting there. It's fully complete. So now I have that to do something with. And then I had initially only ordered two of the Worth Fighting For, and I ended up needing like 2.5 skeins. So good bit of yarn that went into the sweater. I knit the size 2, and I do think mine is maybe a little bit longer than it was supposed to be because, as I was saying before with my gauge, I could tell that my gauge changed as I was knitting it, and this was knit flat, so that might have been part of it, but you started here where, you know, it was at the narrowest part, and then you increase so that you have this big kind of strange triangle, and the more stitches that I had, the looser my gauge got. So I do think that overall my panels are longer than maybe they're supposed to be, but it's kind of nice having this really long cardigan. I don't have anything else like this in my wardrobe. So that's that. I think it would be nice to get a little, maybe a shawl pin or something that I could use to close this off. I think this cardigan looks the best on me when it is a little bit closed. So that's something I'll maybe either try to make or see if I can get one. I think it'd be fun to get one that had kind of like a rose quartz crystal or something. So Mom, if you're watching, maybe you can figure out how to make that. She does rock hounding and stuff. I'm looking at you, Mom. Okay, so I do have another finished object to show you, but I actually finished it this morning right before I came, so it's not completely blocked. The sleeves aren't blocked yet, and the yoke is perfect, but the body needs another block. So I think I'll try it on, but I am going to wear it in my next video because you'll get a better idea of how it looks once it's blocked. Okay, so yeah, as I was saying, I technically finished this morning, but it's not blocked. So there's, you know, it's kind of a little bit silly, and the ends aren't woven in yet on the sleeve. So just bear that in mind. But I figured since I have it pretty much done, I'd go ahead and try it on and show you because I really love this pattern. The color work is so striking. It's very bold. I think overall this is just such a pretty design. I can't wait to, when I leave here, I'm going to block it, and I'm so excited. I'm going to wear it probably all next week because it's so pretty. Stand up and show you. Yeah, where the color work is, it needs to be blocked again. There's a little bit of puckering. Oh, I forgot to put on my microphone. Okay, so again, bear in mind that this is not blocked, and there's ends still to weave in because I just finished this a couple of hours ago. But since I had it all ready to go, I figured I'd at least put it on and show you. I really love this. It has such striking color work, and it's so beautiful. So this is a Teti Lutsak pattern. That is Teti's Knit Garden. That's her designing brand, if you will. She has the most gorgeous designs. From what I understand, she is a botanist, or yeah, she's a trained botanist who implements her skills and appreciation of botany into her knitwear designs, which to me is just the perfect combination. Give me bugs or plants and I'm happy. I will make your pattern. Yeah, so I love it. It's so pretty. The colors, the main color is on my BFL nylon base. So this is Paper Crane Yarns. This beautiful color is Caramel Latte, and this is all that I have left. So I ended with just the perfect amount of yarn and didn't have to break into my third skein. This was kind of fun. This really didn't take a whole lot of yarn. In total, by the way, this is called the Polina Pullover. I should have said that before. I'll have already put the name on the screen, but it's Polina, and it's named after a very well-known, she's since deceased, but a very well-known Ukrainian painter and artist. I did some research on her, and she is fascinating. She had this house that she just completely painted it, and it's filled with some amazing artwork. So highly recommend checking out that artist. So anyway, this pullover weighs 254 grams. I calculated that I used about 192 grams of main color and 62 grams of the contrast color, but I think the ratios are a little bit off because usually my skeins of yarn are a little bit above 100 grams, and I forgot to weigh them before I used them, so it's probably a little bit more like 200 grams to 50 something for the CC. And then the contrast color is technically two different colors, although they look the exact same. This is a leftover skein that I used for a Love Note pullover that I knit in October. This is StressKnits. The colorway is Eucalyptus, and this is her favorite face, so it's a 2-ply merino nylon. I had a good bit left over from my Love Note sweater, so I've always wanted to do like this sagey, minty color pairing with a beautiful copper color. So I thought it'd be perfect for this pullover. And I say there are two contrast colors because I kept misplacing this. Every time I would need it to start a new portion of the color work, I would lose it. So thankfully, I had this tiny leftover from an MCal sweater that I did. This is from Coats & Co. And it's this another sagey green. It's slightly darker than this one, but they're similar enough that I figured you couldn't tell. So when I couldn't find this, I used this. And yeah, I felt so silly. And then this morning I finally found this. No big deal. So I really, really love this pullover. I'm excited for this pattern to be released in January. I will wear it. I'm going to record a like everything I knit in 2023 video, and I will make sure to wear it then when it's blocked, and hopefully the pattern will be released by then and you can get your hands on it. It's really lovely. I'm so excited to make more of her patterns. And I'm excited to block this one, as I keep saying. What else? Okay, so for this one, there were also neckline options too. And again, the microphone is dragging it down. It sits a little bit higher up. But her sample is gorgeous. It has this long, kind of like a mock neck, lacy sort of neck, and it's beautiful. And I thought about doing that because if you decide to do the folded over collar, you actually do knit that full length neckline. I ended up not going with it because I kind of wanted, I think I wanted something that would be a little bit more practical. And as I was mentioning earlier, I kind of have a wide face. So sometimes having my neck cut off, I feel like isn't the most flattering. So even though that design is beautiful like that, and I want it emotionally, I figured I would wear it more often if I did the folded over neckline. So that's what I did. And I used the same technique as mentioned previously. This has a really pretty, I think it's a 3x1 design. And there's a couple of these occasional textured stitches in the neckline. So really pretty, something a little bit more than, your average neckline. And I really liked the hem details too. So she has you knit your ribbing and then do a full knit round and then bind off purlwise. So you end up with this really pretty kind of break from the ribbing, and then you've got that little purl bump row. And I feel like that makes it look nice. Sorry about the ends, they're driving me insane. But it makes it look nice and tailored. You just have to remember to kind of, since you're binding off purlwise, to keep it a little bit loose because it's easy to bind off too tightly. This first sleeve, I did bind off slightly too tightly, so it fits perfect on my wrist, but getting my hand through takes a second. So the other one I didn't do quite as tight. Yeah. My Polina, I love it. I knit the size 2 again for this pattern. This is going to be so pretty when it's blocked. So I knit the size 2. I didn't want quite as much positive ease in this one as she has, I think, in her sample, because I have a lot of sweaters that have a lot of positive ease. So I kind of wanted to mix it up a little bit. I think I already stood up and showed, but I also did mine slightly cropped. So there's my belly button. So it doesn't go too much past that. But I think with a pretty dress, I really want to get like a linen dress. I think this will be very nice with that. So I'm going to take a short break, put on my other pullover, and then come back with my works in progress. So the next clip that you're going to see, I say clip, but I remember it was a long clip. I have some more finished objects that I've already gifted. So I wanted to make sure to record a little bit of that footage before I passed the gifts along. So this next clip I recorded a week or so ago, maybe 2 weeks. And I had 4 more finished objects that I just flew through so that I could give a couple of gifts to some family members and a friend. I had this kind of unspoken goal in 2023 to gift something to every member in my family. And so there's no time like waiting until the last second to get that done. So every person in my family, in my like immediate family, got a knitted gift from me this year. Yeah, I felt pretty good about that. So anyway, this next little bit, that's what this is. And a little note also. I remember recording and saying I wasn't sure how things would fit since I hadn't gifted them yet and they were surprises, but I'm happy to report that everything fit everybody perfectly. I was so glad. There's like a sweater, there's some mittens for my brother, and yeah, everything worked out so well. I felt very proud. And there's also a skein of Handspun that I made for my friend Tammy. And I'm also happy to report I gave it to her 1 week ago and she's already knit up the entire thing. She showed me yesterday at our knitting group. She only had like this much left. So that made me feel really good. And like I could tell she really cherished that gift. So that made me feel really happy. Anyway, enjoy that next little clip. Hello. So this is Ashley from the past. Today is Thursday, December 21st. This weekend, I will get to see some of my family members, my sister-in-law, my brother, my nephew, my parents, and my sister. So I'll get to see them briefly this weekend. My goal for 2023, my unspoken goal to avoid the pressure, was to make gifts for everyone in that part of my family. So I did make a sweater vest for my dad. I gave that to him in the beginning of October. And last episode I recorded, I forgot to even talk about the fact that I finished it because I had gifted it already. My sister got a hat from my mom and myself this year. So my mom wanted to learn how to knit, and I got her started on a hat. We did the leaf hat pattern by Ysolda Teague. My mom knit probably 90% of it, and then I finished it. So we gifted that to my sister a couple of months ago. So my dad and my sister already got their 2023 gifts. So that left my brother, my mom, my sister-in-law, and my nephew. And my goodness, I worked my fingers off to get some gifts done. And I'm really excited to give those to them. And I'm excited to have met that goal. But anyway, so I have a couple of projects to share. And by the time I'm recording the rest of the episode, I will have already gifted those. So first up, for my sister-in-law, Tabby, I have a pair of mittens, and they're super cute. Now, before I show them, I have to address the fact that I cannot yet share what this pattern is, unfortunately. And I'm sorry because I know that's very frustrating. I will make sure to circle back and let you guys know about this pattern as soon as I can. This is actually already the second version of these that I made. This is technically a secret test knit, but the designer is okay with, from what I understand, people seeing these projects. We're just not supposed to really talk too much about what it is exactly. So I'm not going to give details, and I'm sorry if that's frustrating, but again, I will circle back. But since these are about to be out of my life, I wanted to show them because they're really cute. So cute. So here are some mittens for my sister-in-law. I'm not going to do like a big close-up to the camera because I want to honor the fact that these are still kind of a secret to a degree, but they're so cute. I don't know what got into me with picking these colors. I had this yarn sitting in my stash and it was speaking to me, and I thought it would be really fun for winter to have a really bright pair of mittens because they're cheery And more importantly, you won't lose them. I have purchased so many black items of clothing in my life, only to, especially winter items, to never be able to find them again. So my idea behind this was, even though they're slightly obnoxious, they're really cute, but they're a little bright. Anyway, my idea was that they'd be good for winter and she won't lose them. So they're extremely warm, very cute. This one definitely turned out better than this one. This one, the motifs get lost in the yarn choice, unfortunately. I knit this one first and I loved it. So I thought the second one would be great, but to be honest, if I could redo it, if I had time, I would. So she may end up getting a third mitten from me at some point, because I feel like this one is kind of like, it's not so great, especially compared to this one. So anyway, I used 3 colors for this project. The 2 pinks are from my hand-dyed yarn collections. This was from my Barbie collection that I did earlier in this year when everybody was doing all the Barbie stuff. The hot pink color is called Come On Barbie, and the soft pink with like the neon pink variegation is called Let's Go Party. So they were companion colorways. And then this beautiful blue green color is called Lacewing by Lambstrings yarn, one of my favorite dyers. So anyway, the 3 of these colors I thought would be so fun together, unlike anything I really knit. And this Lacewing colorway has been sitting in my stash for a long time. I wanted to just finally make a project with it, so I did. And these are DK weight. They're 100% wool. They're extremely warm and toasty. I have a beautiful pair for myself that it's one of my favorite things I've ever made. So when this pattern comes out and when I can talk more about it, believe me, you will not hear the end of it with those ones. But anyway, so these are for my sister-in-law. I hope she loves them. I don't want to take them off because they're so nice and warm and cozy, and I'm cold. So the next gift is also a pair of mittens, and these ones are fingerless mitts. This is a pattern that I have made this is, I think, my 4th time making this. I did modify it slightly with this version, but this pattern is called Maze by Tin Can Knits, and it is a free pattern. It is part of their, I think they call it the Simple collection, but it's just a very basic worsted weight pair of mittens, and it comes in all kinds of sizes. This is the largest adult size written into the pattern because these are for my brother, Aaron. And they are this fire engine red color because my brother is a firefighter, so I thought that would be a little nod to his profession. And the yarn is Wool of the Andes. It's their superwash version. So I originally, it was really nice. This was a 50-gram ball of yarn that was in my stash for about 1.5 years, maybe 2 years. It was leftovers from a project that I made for my husband a while back. And this was so great because I would say this is about 45 grams. I had just a little tiny scrap of that yarn ball left. So I also knit these in one day. So this was like a start to finish stash busting project. Got it done in a day. Really great gift. So these are them on my hand. Now, they were originally perfectly fitted to me, and then I blocked them, and so now they are definitely bigger than I would wear, but I'm hoping that means they'll be just right for my brother, because I'm a little bit worried. You can see how baggy they are around my fingers, and that would not be nice, in my opinion, to wear and keep your hands warm and toasty. So I'm hoping that since they're slightly too big for me, they'll be just right for him. Now this part actually fits pretty comfortably. It's just the fingers. And I have small hands, so yeah, here's hoping these fit him just right. I also really like this particular color of red. I don't know, I just feel like this is a really nice little pair of mittens, and I hope that they're just right, but we'll find out in a couple days when I get to see him. Now my modification, and I didn't set out to do this, but in the end, I loved it. So traditionally, or I suppose the way this pattern is written, these are actually garter, like the right side is the garter side, like the reverse stockinette side. And then you have this column of ribbing, and that's kind of like the detail. And again, this is normally the right side, and then the thumb is stockinette. But when I blocked these and I turned them inside out to weave in my ends, I realized that the inside of the mitten was so beautiful. So first of all, the ribbing looks gorgeous. I'm sure that many of you know, usually your right side ribbing doesn't look so great, but wrong side ribbing looks spectacular. So some people will actually, when they're doing ribbing for a project, maybe a hem of a sweater, they'll do that part inside out. And then when they're ready to start on like the stockinette, they'll flip the ribbing inside out. That's something I want to do, but I'm not exactly sure how to incorporate a short row to do that. It's something I need to figure out. Anyway, in this project, as soon as I flipped these inside out and saw, like you can see, here, I'll show them side by side. When I saw these side by side, I realized just how nice the ribbing looked. So that's the right side, technically, ribbing. And then this is the wrong side ribbing. And again, it is just so nice. It's very clean, looks really good. And then the other thing was the stockinette stitches look really nice too. And then of course the ribbing down here in the cuff. So just in general, I thought that this turned out a lot better. And it was really easy to flip them inside out. The only thing that would be maybe perhaps not reversible would be the thumb, but I actually think it looks fine here on the sides where you do like, you know, your held stitches and there's a couple picked up in here, but I honestly think it looks fine. And it's, you know, it's a mitten, not a big deal, but, and then of course that turns your thumb into garter, but I think it looks fantastic. So that's 2 gifts. So he and his wife will have warm and cozy hands for the winter. Oh, I actually have 5 gifts. I said 4, but I have 5. So this next one I will go into is, this next one is for my mom. She has gotten knitted socks from me before, some colorwork socks, but that was last year, I think. So this will be her annual gift. Now, I will say, since I know she's probably going to watch this I did not set out with the intention of making it specifically for her. It was a project that I started because I purchased 2 skeins of yarn from a person I know who has a yarn store. I went to her yarn store, and to support, I bought 2 skeins of worsted weight Malabrigo, so Malabrigo Rios, and I didn't know what I was going to do with it. I just wanted to buy them, and I figured they would turn into a gift at some point. And then around that time is when the Sophie shawl and Sophie scarf patterns came out. So I got the Sophie shawl pattern and I cast this on months and months ago. It took me like half of a year to complete this project, but I left off with it halfway done. And then when I picked it up a couple days ago, I finished it in like a day and a half. So it was not a lot of knitting that was left. It's not entertaining knitting for me, so I was putting it off. I also didn't know who I was going to gift it to, so I didn't feel motivated, but all that to say, I considered this project and my mom and realized this would probably be a great gift for her. Hopefully she likes it. I think we've talked about shawls before and they're not really her thing, but this shawl is more of a scarf in my opinion. Anyway, let me go ahead and show you. This is a petite knit pattern. You've probably seen it. You've probably seen the little scarves, the actual scarves a million times. The shawls, I've only seen a handful of times. Mine is going to be a little bit hard to show on the camera because it is extremely long. And I'll insert another clip of me styling it after I've finished recording because I don't want to interfere with the microphone. So to talk a little bit about this project. Now with the light in front of me that you can unfortunately see in the picture, it's kind of shining through this project. I'm trying to show the color the best I can. I think it was Porcelain, but it is I would say that it's like jewel and earthy tone reds, garnet kind of colors. There's a little bit of like a yellow green in there, some navy blue, and then it seems to be over dyed with black or navy, some really kind of dark over dye. It's a really lovely color. I just don't think it's something I'm going to wear. So when I purchased it, again, I knew it would be for a gift. Wow, this is a long story. So this is almost exactly 2 skeins. So I did modify the pattern in the sense that I set out to knit the largest size, but I could tell I was going to run out of yarn. So what I did, since this is a very simple pattern, very customizable, the amount of yarn you have doesn't really matter. You can kind of tailor the project to match the amount of yarn you have. So I had 2 skeins. I knit as many rows and increases as I could until I had just a little bit of yarn left from that first skein, so that theoretically I would have more than enough in the second skein with, the same amount left over for a little bit of buffer. And thankfully it worked out that way. So when I left this project off, I had just started on the new ball, on the new cake of yarn. In the second skein, I had just the tiniest little bump left, so it worked out just right. I was able to finish all the decreases. Now the only thing is, in the center of this shawl, it's not as wide as it should have been, but I think that's okay. So you can see it's not super wide. I think it's just right for styling without it being cumbersome. But I will say this is like the longest. It's so long. It's like the longest thing I've made. And it's not a lot of fabric because it does come to a point. At the end, you only have like 7 stitches or so before you do like your final decreases. So it's really not large. It's not cumbersome. It's easy to wrap around a bunch and make it all cozy and comfortable. So I think this will be a nice little simple gift, something that my mom can have in her wardrobe that she'll actually get use out of, just to wrap around her neck when she needs a little extra warmth. It's not like a crazy shaped shawl, like, something I could have knit. So it should be, a nice addition to her wardrobe. I hope she likes it. It's very soft. My only complaint about this project was the yarn was bleeding so heavily into my hands. So it was definitely over dyed to the point where it had too much dye or it wasn't set properly. And honestly, as a yarn dyer, I know that sometimes that's just the nature of yarn dye and colorways, and that's okay. It's not a big deal. I just knew I was going to have to, first of all, thoroughly wash my hands because they were turning black at the end of my very long knitting session with this. And also that I just wouldn't block it with anything else. And I'm also going to make sure to tell her, now this should only be hand washed, but just to maybe not wear it with anything super light would be my recommendation. So yeah, I'll have hopefully already inserted some footage of me styling it so you can get an idea of it. But yeah, that's another nice little gift I'm excited to have made for her. And it's a long-term project off of my needles. Kind of like with the maze mittens, not maze knittens. Although I guess I knit the maze mittens. Anyway, now that I've seen this and I've put it on, I kind of want one for myself, but I don't think I'm going to suffer through knitting this again. Anyway, that's my Sophie shawl. Really pretty. I think she'll like this color. She likes dark and moody stuff usually. So yeah, there we go. Okay, the next project is the one I'm most excited about. I have a wonderful 13-year-old nephew. At least I'm pretty sure he's 13. I'm bad about that, but I think he's 13. And anyway, I adore him. His name is James. So he is very sweet, extremely artistic. I knew he would be an excellent recipient for anything handmade. And now I have yet to give this to him, but I have a feeling it's going to go well. He visits me at my shop sometimes when he and my sister-in-law visit. They live a couple of hours away, so I don't get to see him all the time. But when he comes, he always has a craft with him, which I admire. And he is so funny because, I'm always working on a project when they come. And he's often said, like, oh, hey, just by the way, if that doesn't fit you, you can give it to me. And I just love how he's so sweet. He doesn't ask for things, but I love how he just kind of is like, by the way, if you happen to knit something and wanted to hand it over, that would be fine by me. So I figured it was time I surprised him with his very own sweater. So that's what I've done. I got this idea. Now I've been thinking about this for a long time, but it really struck me like I want to go into 2024 without gift knitting, without a lot of test knits, without a lot of gift knits. I really want to just knit what I want to knit next year. So I wanted this to be the year of James's sweater. I feel like 13 is a good age because it's like he's grown a lot. He's still going to grow a good bit, but hopefully there's a little bit of some time right now where he won't hit a huge growth spurt. We'll see. Anyway, I found out that his favorite color is cyan, and he likes red, he likes blue. He says pink is okay, like he'll wear pink, but it's not his favorite. So I took that kind of inspiration and I sent my sister-in-law a bunch of Ravelry projects, like patterns to pick from, and let me know what she thought. So I really wanted to make sure that I got this right. Anyway, we narrowed down the patterns. She liked the Hide and Peak sweater by Max and Sear the best. She said that she thought that'd be the best for him. So that's what I made. I was having so much fun ordering the yarn for this that I like putting together the color palette. I was doing it while I was working out, and by the end of it, you know, yarn is so exciting. Planning a project is so exciting. By the end of it, I realized I had gone like 10 minutes over with cardio, which was great. So it all worked out. So I ordered some Cascade 220 Sport is what it's called. This is I'm going to have this linked below. I think this is the non-superwash. No, I think this is the superwash. I'm going to have it linked below. It's the same yarn that I used for my dad's vest. Coincidentally, it just happened to be a good price with a lot of color options, and they had the yarn in stock. So that's what I got. And it's really nice. That's also part of why I ordered it. I recently had the experience of knitting my dad's vest and knew that I liked this yarn and that it would be very warm. It is a little bit more rustic, but I figure it'll hold up well. He will wear an undershirt with it. So I don't know how he'll be with the wool. We'll see. Hopefully this will be suitable for him. I did block it with a lanolin bar, so it's a lot softer. And yeah, I'm so excited to give this to him. I've been just like giddy and yeah, just thrilled. So I'm trying to give you a good perspective. I will make sure to definitely put in a couple of pictures that I took somewhere in here. I knit the smallest size, so that should hopefully, if I got gauge, I'll be honest, I did not check gauge. I kind of don't want to. I want to see how it goes. If I got gauge, that would give this 2 inches of positive ease for him, I think, in the chest. And then I knit the body and the sleeves according to the measurements that my sister-in-law took. So hopefully everything is long enough, wide enough. If anything, I of course would like this to be too big so that he can grow into it a little bit and have it for longer. But I think it turned out really well. So this is a 3-color color work plus a 4th color for your main color. Now, a little bit about this color work for me. I feel like I'm a proficient color work knitter. I feel like I'm very experienced. There's no color work really, like stranded color work, that I would not try or feel comfortable doing. This should have been a simple color work, and it is. It is a very simple color work. You don't really have to refer to the pattern too much because, you know, it's geometric. You kind of know what to expect with each row, and so you can just go and go and go. But for some reason, there were 2 rows in here where I wasn't thinking, and I caught my floats with the wrong yarn, so there wasn't flexibility in them the way that they should have been, and it just so happened to be on the rows where you have like 1 stitch and then you have a bunch of gaps, you know, float, a long, long float. So this ended up being really taut in the yoke, and I was concerned that it wouldn't fit. So I blocked it all out, but I thought I'll try it on, and if it feels good on me, then I feel confident giving it to him. But if it feels strange, then I need to probably do some sweater surgery. And that was the reality. So when I blocked it, for the most part, the yoke opened up like I expected, and it wasn't too tight. But there were 2 rows. I could see them, I could feel them, where the floats were so long without being caught properly because I was going so fast. I knit this in 8 days. Anyway, I decided to do a little bit of sweater surgery. So I'm going to quickly talk through what I did. I've talked about this before, and I don't know if this is actually a technique that people do or if it's just me being extremely risky. But basically what I do is I go into the front of the work and I decipher where in the body or where in the work that stitch is actually knit into the fabric and not just caught behind the fabric. So I find where that really long stretch of yarn is and I snip it. So then you've got these 2 loose ends, and it is knit into the fabric, but you've got these 2 loose ends, and usually it's not a whole lot of yarn, So what I do, and it's really nice that this is a little bit more rustic because the fibers grab each other better. What I do is I take the yarn, the same yarn, so in this case like the red, and I take those ends on the inside, I tie together a new length of yarn from the ball of yarn to that little end, and I make sure it's really snug and secure, and then I weave that into the fabric. So in doing so, I'm elongating that sort of cut edge so that there's not, it won't easily just slip out and just unravel itself where it's knit, because then of course I'd have a whole row of drop stitches. So I don't want that. So the idea is to secure that one stitch into the fabric. So I try to elongate that yarn as much as I can. I think you could probably picture what I'm saying, but if you have questions, let me know. I've done this on 3 projects now, I think 3, and it's been fine. So I feel confident. I'm not saying that you should do it, but I'm saying it's worked for me. So it'll be interesting to see how this holds up for him. I ended up not worrying about where it was tight up here, because once I solved the issue down here and it wasn't so tight, it was like digging in around the shoulders was the problem. I knew that once I fixed that, the rest of it would kind of all fall into place. So I'm hoping, because he's smaller than I am, I'm hoping this will just fit on him super nicely now. And I won't have to worry about that yarn restricting him, or what it was doing on me was causing the upper portion of the yoke to just funnel up. So it was like the strand was getting to about here when it should have been a little bit lower. And then the rest of the fabric was just funneling. So it looked, of course, very strange. So I'm hoping that'll be just right for him. And if this goes well, which I'm hoping it does, then I'll feel more confident making something for him in the future. So yeah, that's hide and peek. Oh, I didn't mention, I put a little tag in there. So this sweater, I don't know if this feature is a little bit more male oriented or not, but the short row shaping that you do for the back was actually underneath the yoke. So it wasn't here in the neckline like I'm kind of accustomed to. And I've seen that before, but usually I find that in patterns I make for myself, usually the short rows are up in the neck. But this one had the short rows down below the colorwork. So it was kind of hard to tell, if you're not a knitter, I think, what side was the front and what side was the back, because there weren't many short rows. So it was kind of marginal, the way that you could tell with the hem where it was hanging. So anyway, I carry these super cute tags in my shop. These are by Sarah Hartz. And I have been meaning to snag a pack for myself since I brought them in. I just don't usually put tags in my stuff because I can tell what's the back and what's not. But I wanted this to be easy for him. And so one of my favorite packs that I carry is this. It's like metallic and really bright colors. There's rocket ships, moon, sun, and rainbow, like shooting stars actually. So I put one in there for him. I gave him a little rocket ship, but this is really, really nice. I'm very happy with this. I'm very glad I got to do this for him. I'm sorry it's kind of dark. You know, it's winter now. I have this lighting in front of me, but the sun is setting. So hopefully the pictures will kind of show you better how this turned out. But anyway, man, I've been talking for a lot longer than I expected to. That's my sweater for James. I feel like a good aunt. Okay, one more gift, and then I'm going to go. I forgot about this, actually. So this is not for a family member. This is for my friend, Tammy. She is one of my favorite knitting friends and just friends in general. I've talked about her before, but she comes every week to my knitting group here at the shop. And since I met her, she's been very sweet and generous. Her whole family. I love her husband and her grandkids. Everybody's so sweet. She has made numerous things for my daughter. She made my daughter a gorgeous blanket when I was pregnant. She made a baby blanket out of some Kremka Reborn wool that I carry in my shop. And then she surprised me not too long ago, actually back in October, during Vlogtober I showed this, but she made this gorgeous owl, like a granny square crochet owl for my daughter. And so anyway, she's so sweet. I know she's put a lot of time into making stuff for my daughter. And so I wanted to return that gesture in some way. Now, back in October when I went to New York Sheep and Wool, I bought quite a few braids of this fiber from Peterbrook Farms. And these are unnamed I just know that they're blue-faced Leicester. And so then for Tammy, I have been spinning this. So this is a skein of Handspun. It's still wet, which is why it looks like this. I just skeined it today and set the twist. It's been hanging up outside to dry, but because it's cold, it's still wet. And I wanted to skein it up to better show it to you guys. And there's like little black ties.
Hey guys, this is editing voiceover Ashley. It's at this point that I realized my microphone actually died, even though we were right at the end. And honestly, that's probably for the best because I was very rambly when recording this. I was very tired that day. So to sum up, all I was trying to say is that I did a 2-ply fractal spin with this yarn, and I would say it came out very successfully, as you may have seen in the picture that Tammy sent me. It did the color striping really great, and I just loved the way this turned out. It came out to be about a worsted weight yarn, a couple of thick and thin places, but overall a pretty balanced yarn, and it knit up beautifully. And most of all, I'm just so glad that she loved it and she appreciated it and used it up. So anyway, let's go back to the better lit video.
Okay, and we're back. So I hope that wasn't too wordy. I think I recorded that when I was pretty tired and a little overwhelmed. So anyway, now let's get into my works in progress. I'm going to start with one of my favorite works in progress. I actually don't have too many whips to show you today since I've kind of been finishing everything, but I do have a couple. So in this bag, this is one of my favorite project bags I have ever made. I want to eventually make this again. Also, thank you to the person who commented on my last video when I was saying that the reason why I haven't made these in a long time is this Essex linen. I haven't been able to get my hands on at an affordable price since fabric.com closed down. I used to buy it in bulk for my business, and then when they closed down, I kind of lost access. But somebody left a comment with a recommendation for where to get it now, and I need to sit down and look at that. So if that was you, thank you very much, because this is my number one, I think, most requested bag. So I would like to make these again, but currently I don't have them. And there's acorns on the inside. Yep, I love this one. So in this bag, I have my Aimee cardigan. This is a petite knit pattern. It is an all over, the single color brioche. It's stunning. I'm almost done with the body, and I would have been done with the body had I not made a little mistake. I will show it to you. So the color is super radiant. This cardigan really glows, and it's because of the silk mohair that I've used. I am so excited to have this like sienna and honey colored cardigan in my wardrobe. I don't really know if this is like my color, but I do think it's beautiful, and so I don't care. I'm going to wear it and love it. I've been working on this one for quite a while because I have knit multiple entire sweaters in the process of starting this, and like to now, it's just taking me a little while. The brioche is super, super easy, but it takes a little bit more work to get quite as much volume to the project. And this one has kind of a unique construction. So there's been kind of just a lot of like fun but tedious work that goes into this pattern. But I'm happy to report that I am almost done with the body. I've just started on the ribbing at the bottom. So I have 3 completed buttonholes, and then I'm halfway to the length of making the third one. So at this point, she has you actually take the little placket / button band. It is double knitting, and you knit it simultaneously with the body, which is a relief because it definitely looks better than had you maybe gone through and picked up all the stitches. It's easier, and you have this nice double thick button band, and it feels nice and structured, and it's really pretty. So I'm very happy with that. But at this point in the pattern, she's actually just had you take the placket stitches on both sides and separate them. So I put them on a little quilting safety pin. And I've just completed my first row of the ribbing pattern. So I'm so excited to almost have the body done. I think that the sleeves will probably be very quick in comparison to the rest of the sweater. I mentioned the last time I showed this, my previous podcast, that I felt like the angle of the sleeves was off. Like maybe it was a little bit strange. And then I had a lovely new viewer. She reached out because she's knitting this as well. She said she was kind of having the same concern, and hers was looking like that as well. But since then, I've actually tried this on after I got a good length underneath the arm. I tried this on and I found that I think, as I was kind of hoping, the way that wool kind of settles into place and gravity and whatnot, it kind of brought that down. So the point of the arm, like the center of the arm, seemed like it was sort of pointing backwards. And I was thinking it might make the shoulders and everything look weird, but it looks like it's going to be really nice and normal. So if you were one of the people who said they were waiting to see what I thought, that's my good news. It seems like it's going well. This pattern uses 2 yarns. It's got this beautiful squishy texture, of course, of the brioche, but it's got the gorgeous halo and sheen because this is a fingering weight and a silk mohair or fuzzy yarn held double. So I'm using Pearl Soho yarns. I actually just caked up the next 2 skeins that I need. And my main mohair, getting in my lip gloss. The main skein is a Pearl Soho linen quill. This is the raw sienna colorway. This is a very lovely yarn, one of my favorites. And it is a really gorgeous, I think the light's blowing it out just slightly, but has a slightly golden hue. It's a light brown with a little bit of gold. And then this is Pearl Soho Tussock, which is their silk mohair. This is my favorite silk mohair, other than like hand-dyed or my silk mohairs. This is my favorite, more commercial. So nice. It's one of the silkiest that I found. It's extremely shiny, which is really nice. This is the golden lichen colorway. So together, they're pretty different, but they create this gorgeous honey-colored fabric. So I'm very excited about this. This will probably be my project, my devoted project for a while because I'm so close to being done. Usually for me, once I get the body done with something, I get the sleeves done within a matter of days. So I think this will be done quickly if I just focus my attentions. So the next work in progress is another cardigan. I really have been kind of I've been evaluating and this year of knits for me, and you'll kind of probably see this in my wrap-up video. This has been the year of colorful cardigans, and I think I'm finding about myself that I really, really enjoy cardigans and find myself wearing them pretty frequently. So I have a lot of cardigan plans for the coming year, and I'm just really excited about all the cardigans. So this one is something I started. I showed this briefly in my last episode, but I had just started. And now I've finished the body on it, basically. This is the let me put this down. This is the Daft Days cardigan by Rebecca Clow, who is the Crayabea. And the yarns for this are the Yarnaceous fibers. She did a couple of like end of the year boxes, and she had one that was like 15 mini skeins and a main color she had 2 versions of this box. It's called Floral Soars. It's like a combination of dinosaur and floral / botany inspiration, which is just everything to me. So I got her warm palette of this. And again, it's 15 DK weight minis, and it came with a full-size DK weight skein, but I ordered 3 additional skeins so that I could make a sweater with this. And this cardigan I just knew was going to be the perfect knit. It's so pretty. Okay, so I just bound off. I did a 3-needle bind off at my shoulder, so that's where I've left off. So now I have 2 armholes ready to go, and the body is completely done, except for, of course, I'll have to go in and pick up for the button band and all the ribbing. So that's not done, and the sleeves aren't done. And the majority of ends are woven in, but I do have one little stretch right here where I'm still weaving in, but for the most part, I don't have ends, so I've been pretty good. Hopefully this isn't too obnoxious. But this color palette is insanely beautiful. I wish I had sweater quantities of all of these colors. She really she puts together color palettes so beautifully. I'm not disappointed at all. Like, this is such a dream project. And for it to have been a complete mystery, what colors I would get, I have never been more satisfied by, I guess, putting that trust in somebody. She's just a fantastic dyer, but this really blew me away. I think this is, in my humble opinion, like one of the best palettes that she's ever done. So I'm so excited about this. Now the only thing, this is a size 2, spit my cheek. This is a size 2. I would say in most patterns, I'm usually a size 2 or a small, but I'll be honest, I did not check gauge with this project, and this is a slip stitch design. I'll show you up close, but again, the light's kind of blowing it out quite a bit actually, but this way you can maybe just get an idea of the texture. It's a slip stitch design, and so I think the fabric is cinching up a little bit. I have a feeling this will grow a really good bit when I block it. So today when I leave here, I'm going to go ahead and soak this and get it blocking before I pick up the sleeves and whatnot, just to be sure that it's really going to fit the way that I want it to. Because you can see it's fairly short right now. It's a little bit silly. Now I am on the shorter, slightly more petite side, so it's going to work, but I don't want it to look silly. Trying to think of what to say. I do have faith that when I block this and I add in the thick button band and everything, that's really going to add a lot more fabric. And I am going to go up a needle size for the sleeves because she has a note in the pattern that most of her testers who knit this, to maintain the gauge, they had to go up for the sleeves. And these are supposed to be slightly fitted sleeves, but since the body's pretty fitted, I'm going to just go up a needle size and then do my sleeves. And I think that'll probably come out to be the best for this project. But this is a very simple pattern. The color management has been really easy. I do think, without testing my gauge, I do think I'm probably pretty spot on, because she does mention that the size that I'm knitting ended up having 19 different colored body stripes, and that's exactly what I ended up with. So I'm thinking at least my row gauge must be correct. So yeah, again, that gives me good indication that this is going to grow when I block it. With this being a 15 color box, that means I repeated 4 of the colors in the shoulder. So this was the last color, this beautiful burgundy. So then this is color 1, 2, 3, and 4. So yeah, I got 19 color stripes in there. I did go in order. I didn't change anything about the box. So I opened each one in order. They came in these little paper bags. So I opened each little skein in order and added them into my cardigan. This is the main colorway. Wow, the lighting is really starting to blow things out. Hold it back here. It's a yellow leaning creamy color. Very pretty. So just so happy with this gorgeous project. It's like just vibrant enough that it's kind of fun, but it still has the beautiful neutral aspect to it. So cannot wait to have this one done. And I'm super excited because I just ordered some buttons. So I had already these buttons that I ordered from Simply Serving. There's 2 of these beetles and 2 of these leaves. So I thought about pairing these because there are some greeny kind of colors in here, and I think this would have been perfect and very cute. These are clay buttons that she's sculpted to look like ceramic, which is really fun. Cannot recommend these more. So anyway, I thought this would have worked really well, but I also knew that Lindsay had in her shop some wooden buttons that actually have dinosaur skulls on them. So I was really torn, but I decided to order the dinosaur skull buttons because they are neutral. They're like a faint they're like a lighter wood, and then I don't know if it's etched or burned into it, but then you have that slightly darker wood grain dinosaur skull. So it's nice and neutral, but it has that dinosaur element. So this is like, I don't know, to me, I love a good theme. I think it's the perfect combination. So I'm excited for those to come and to get those on here. Totally love this project. And my project bag is actually the box that the yarns came in. So this has actually been very handy. It looks like a mess right now, but it's been very handy for keeping organized with this project. I'm not an organized person. I'm a very frantic, chaotic kind of person. So I tend to just put things everywhere and I hide them from myself, which is no fun. So I'm glad I'm staying organized in this case. I am the queen of very long knitting podcasts. Sometimes, so I watch knitting podcasts like every day. And I always notice that people who have maybe the same number of projects as I do, they get their videos done in half of the time it takes me. I just talk a lot, I guess. I don't know. I spend a lot of time with my 1.5-year-old. So to me, when I sit down to record, this is almost like my adult talking time, which is kind of sad because I'm really just talking to myself in some ways. But yeah, there's some value in, as a mother and a business owner who frankly spends a lot of time by themselves, sitting down and getting to do this. It's like getting to outpour just everything that's in my head, everything I'm excited about. So yeah, I thank all of you for joining me so that I can have this outlet. So I do have a couple more works in progress, like my Stephen West MCal, which I have started on clue 3, but I just did like the first row or 2 and then set it to the side. So I'm not going to show that. Yeah, that's pretty much my last big work in progress. But I do have a small growing stack of single socks that need mates, including this one, which I've talked about at length at this point in my Vlogtober in my last episode, but this is the Cider House Socks by Summer Lee Designs. Really lovely pattern. This was from my Spirited Away collection. This is my Shihiro colorway, and this bright poppy red was the contrast mini skein that this main skein came with, and then the white is some additional yarn that I pulled out of my stash. But this is one of my favorite things I've ever knit, especially in terms of socks. I love the colors and I love the pattern. And so I really wanted to go ahead and get this done. This hasn't been wet blocked yet, but I threw it on a blocker to show you guys better. I think once it's wet blocked, it'll be a little bit more like this. These cables will open up a bit, but it's very beautiful. So as I was sitting here about to record, I realized my microphone was dead. So as I was waiting for it to charge, I went ahead and cast on the second sock. So I'm 2 rows in plus the cast on, or 3 rows maybe. Anyway, I'm going to fly through this sock now that it's on the needles. That's always the hardest part, just getting past the cast on. Once you do that, then suddenly you find yourself knitting whenever you can. So I will probably have this sock done by the next time I record. And that is this is a Barley Pearls project bag. It's a hedgehog with mushrooms. Coincidentally, the socks that I'm wearing today have the same combination of hedgehogs and mushrooms. I do have a spinning whip to show you. I actually have like a couple of small spinning whips going, but this is my main spinning project right now. I have a shocked ladybug wheel. It's sitting right next to me and it's draped with fiber because I'm doing a fractal spin. So I have all the segments. They were laid out on the floor, but I draped them over the wheel so they'd be out of the way. This is one of the bobbins that I have so far. I might have to add on some more to this, but so with fractal spinning, you kind of have 5 segments of fiber. This would be, when you initially split it in half, you have like that half, you've got 1 half, and then you split the other half into fourths. This would be the initial half. So right now I'm working on the bobbin that has all of the fourths. And you go from end to end in order basically to achieve this color gradient kind of self-striping thing. And I learned from the skein that I made for my friend Tammy when I saw her finished project that I did it perfectly. I was so proud of myself. So I'm glad that I'm doing it again here. I have this beautiful fiber that's like hot pink. There's deep blues and almost teal, and then these light blues and creamy white. So this was just a lot of fun. This will probably end up being something for myself, but I could also see making something for my daughter with it. We shall see. But this is not a gift spin, this is all me. So I guess we'll go ahead from this point and transition into some of the things that I've purchased recently. That includes these bobbins. So last time I recorded, I was talking about how I only had 3 bobbins for my wheel, the 3 that came with the wheel, and I was looking at getting more, but the official shocked bobbins are quite expensive. And I found on Etsy a person who 3D prints them, and this person actually lives in Tuscaloosa, which is about an hour from my town, which is great. So, getting to support a small business, somebody local, and really affordable. So I think it's Blue Cat Spinning, or I'll make sure to link them down below, the Etsy shop. But I cannot recommend these more. I have already been using them and I totally love them. And you get to pick your colors and you just pick what kind of wheel you have. And I think if he doesn't have the wheel listed, you can message him and request something custom. But anyway, I got a red one to match the red wheel on my Ladybug. I got this gorgeous iridescent copper one, and I got a light pink one because of course I did. And that one's currently on my wheel, so I'm spinning more of this fiber on that pink one. So yeah, I got 3, and he put in a little surprise, which was this 3D printed orifice hook, which I thought was awesome. Okay, Blue Cat bobbins, it's right there. It's almost like a business card. That's smart. So Blue Cat bobbins, and he threw in this little orifice hook. That's awesome because I'm very chaotic and I keep misplacing my orifice hook, and I use crochet hooks. This one I cannot lose because it's very bright and it's large. So just in the realm of spinning, I also got a 3D printed Nitty Noddy. This was from a different person. This is Snyder Fibers, something like that. Again, I'll link it below. But this is a 3D printed Nitty Noddy. This is kind of a smaller one, but this is pretty affordable, and you can travel with it. It comes apart like that. I picked the pink one again. Hold this over here. You can get the color better. I've yet to use it because I haven't had a skein ready while I've had this. So before, I was winding skeins on my tabletop like Amish Swift, which is working pretty well, but not perfect. So I'm really excited to have this little Nitty Noddy. If you don't know what this is for making a skein of yarn. And this is really great for any kind of yarn, but really especially for Handspun, so that you can take it from the bobbin straight into a skein. So you wrap it around and you end up with a skein. This won't work. I don't think this is going to work for very big skeins of yarn, but I haven't made any big ones so far. So I think this will be pretty solid for what I need it for. And again, it was pretty affordable and it came very quickly. Okay, I do have some yarn to show you. I have far too much yarn, actually. This has been sitting here staring at us for a little while. This is yarn from Harrisville Designs, and I actually partially ordered this because this is a brand that I'm interested in carrying at the shop. Since receiving it, I've discovered I totally love this. Unfortunately, I reached out for wholesale, and I respect this entirely, but they aren't opening new wholesale accounts right now because they say they can't sustainably grow right now if they open new accounts. And again, I respect that. So they've put me on a list. But now that I've had the yarn in person and I really know that I love it, I'm super excited to knit this and then hopefully one day carry it in the shop. So I'm going to knit the Sasky pullover by the Petite Knitter. It's a pullover that has moons and rabbits on it. So I'm going to use this colorway, this cone that I got, for my main color. It's called Loden Blue, and it is a gorgeous, very radiant colorway. It's like a navy version of teal. It's very pretty. This cone is 228 grams, approximately 900 yards. It's 100% virgin wool. It's spun in the USA. So I'm very excited to use this. It has a beautiful feeling. So it's rustic and woolly, but still very soft. Now, I am not sensitive to wool, so I tend to find things soft that, like my husband, for example, says is super rough, but I actually think this is genuinely soft. So So that's going to be a pleasure. I can already imagine the way that it'll feel to knit with, like nice and springy and just really nice. And then my contrast is just the white, and I just got a 50-gram skein of this. This is 217 yards. These are fingering weight yarns. I think I'll be casting this sweater on pretty soon, like probably in January, because I really want this pullover. It's really cute. I'm just excited. I love the petite knitter patterns. So that's coming up very soon. I have one single skein of yarn to show, and this is from Coast to Coast Yarn Company. I had never tried her yarns or really even heard of her yarns until recently. Airy Knits talks a lot about her yarns, I think. And I saw that she had a box this year that it was like mystery coffee house, like, I don't know, coffee inspired, and I couldn't resist. So she had a pre-order option for like one single skein, and I think so I didn't realize this at the time, I just ordered it, but it's supposed to be like a New Year cast on thing, and in fact, we're not supposed to open it, I think, until tomorrow, maybe today, but by the time this video goes up, if you purchase this, you will have already opened it. So this is the card that it came with. The colorway is called Sprinkle Donuts, or Sprinkle, and it's based off of Sprinkle Donuts. It's New Year's Day 2024 colorway. I got the 100% Superwash Extra Fine Merino, 4-ply, fingering weight, 437 yards to 100 grams, which now I'm a little bit disappointed in myself. I ordered this a while back. I thought that I got a sock, like a merino nylon. I was planning on making this one particular sock pattern with this, and now I don't think I will. We'll see. Maybe I'll still make the socks. But it is so, so beautiful. Yeah, these speckles, I know that she's really known for her speckles, but in person especially, it's so pretty. So I can definitely see why this is based on Sprinkle Donuts. Oh my gosh, it's so soft too. Maybe I'll try to make a cowl or something, since I can't make the socks that I had in mind. That was poor planning on my part. But yeah, super pretty. So now I have a full box of Knitting for Olive yarns in front of me. And I will say, this is a yarn company that I have been in brief communication with about bringing their yarns in, and I am planning on doing so. So I've only worked with their yarns once, and I kind of wanted to get a good idea of their colorways in person, and one of the bases I hadn't tried before. And I'm very pleased with everything, and I cannot wait to bring these in. So I do have a big box. They were having a sale. They had sales all in December. So I kind of took advantage of that sale, and I got enough yarn for a couple of projects. So I'm going to start with this. These are definitely more green than they're showing up right now. But the lighting, again, making things more yellow. This colorway is called Pea Shoots, and I got one 50-gram ball on their Merino, which is like the fingering / light fingering weight. And then this is their 70% Mohair, 30% silk. And I had this vision of making some really beautiful fuzzy mittens or gloves to wear with like a pea coat. I think this green color would be really fun. Yeah, it's a very true pea green, but looks different on the camera. Anyway, that's one project right there. I also got 2 balls each of Merino and the silk mohair in the, the Merino is the dark cognac colorway, and the silk mohair, these are both the dark cognac colorway. They're really beautiful. This is silly, I actually can't remember what I got these exactly for, but I figured having 100 grams total of this and 50 grams of this, I could definitely do a nice sizable project. So that will be a very lovely pattern. This will end up being something very lovely. The more I learn about myself, I find that whereas I used to love silver and gray, I actually think brown is more suitable for my complexion and my hair color, since I stopped dyeing my hair crazy colors like I used to. So I I'm excited to have this as something in my wardrobe. And then these, I do know why I purchased this many of these. So again, I have 100 grams or 2 balls of this colorway on Merino and 2 of the silk mohair. This colorway is Camel Rose, and it's a blush beige, definitely on the pinker side. And this one is Brown Nougat. And I have a beret pattern that I knit last year, or this year. It's called Kutar, and it's a Sari Nordland pattern. She has a bunch of the Kutar designs, which I will say, just for full credit, that stitch design that she uses in those Kutar patterns is a lace design, a modified lace design from the Japanese knitting stitch Bible. So she puts that in the pattern, but I just want to point that out. But it's a beautiful lace pattern that she's adapted to all kinds of projects. So I knit the beret, and it's silver, and it's out of Shibui knits. Really lovely. But again, as I was just saying, I think these kinds of colors are better suited to me. So I want to make another Kutar beret, and I'm going to use this color combo. And I actually found this exact combo was used by a Ravelry on a project page for the beret, and the simple, like subtle marled effect of these colors together is so gorgeous that I am going to knit this very soon. It's a pretty easy pattern, and it's beautiful, and because it's a beret, it knits up quickly, so I can't wait to make my second one. I'm going to make it slightly smaller than my first, because my first one ended up a little too big, which I think I can control in the blocking process. And then I actually have a sweater's quantity here, and this is speaking of the Kutar pattern. With this lighting, these look very similar to the yarns that I just showed, but they are different. So I have 4 each this time of the Merino and the silk mohair. I won't hold them all up. This colorway is called Rose Clay on both of the bases, and my plan is to make the Kutar wrap cardigan, and I think that's actually going to be my next sweater cast on, because I have an event that I want to wear that pattern for. So I'll talk more about that when I get started on it and as I'm working through it. But I wanted since I'm making a lot of bold cardigans, I wanted a subtle, lovely cardigan to wear. So this will be soon on the needles, and then I can wear it with my Kutar beret that I was just talking about. And I actually have one more sweater's quantity. I'm just saying, you don't order yarn from Europe and have to, pay for shipping and things without getting enough for multiple projects, right? So this is actually a base I have not tried, and this is the heavy merino. I won't take them all out, but I have 9 of these, and this is the marzipan colorway. And I am going to use these for a Marcena Kolacek pattern. It's a beautiful pattern. I'll have it linked below. I can't remember what it's called. It's a stunning pattern. She actually did use Knitting for Olive heavy merino for that. She used a different colorway. So I decided to go with this one, and I'm very excited. So this will be one of my early 2024 cast-ons as well. I love Marcena's patterns so much, so I'm very excited to do that. Okay, I have a small hoard of things to show you from Lindsay of Simply Serving. As I was mentioning before, I purchased most of this back in October, if not all of it, back in October, and I just haven't had a chance to really share them with you guys. So I'm going to share them now. The first thing I have are these beautiful mitten blockers that she designed. So these are custom made for her. I like that it says her Simply Serving handcrafts at the bottom. They have the moon phases, and they have little thumbs. So you can use those with your mitten as you're blocking your mittens as well. They're very beautiful. I think she stained these by hand. They're very smooth. There was no sanding or anything required for me, so I really appreciate that. It's really great to have her it's really great that she offers these, because I have found in all of my research via Etsy and other websites, it's really hard to find mitten blockers that are in the US, like designers that are in the US, which is no problem, but it is, shipping costs a lot, and just your costs are going to go up, of course, if you're importing something that way. So it's really great that we've got like a domestic seller, if you're in the US, who does these mitten blockers. These are the size medium, which I think is the only size she offers. So I got those. And then she sent me as a gift 2 things. She sent me a little 2-inch gauge ruler, which I'm pretty sure I showed last time, so I didn't bring it today. But she also sent me something that was such a nice surprise. It is this sock ruler. This is beautiful. So this is another product that she had custom made for her with this company. It's got her logo on it. Oops, it's upside down. It's got her logo on it. And then it has etched, and it's so smooth, but etched into the wood, she's got all of the US shoe sizes, men, women, and then there's, a ruler in inches and centimeters there. So this is really amazing. Got like the corresponding foot lengths there. And I'm very excited to give this a try. I haven't gotten to use it yet, but it's very pretty. And so thank you so much, Lindsay. I'm very excited to use this. And she sent it in this very pretty little bag. I already showed my little beetle buttons earlier, but I also have some stitch markers. 2, 3, 4, 5. And one of the ones I have, it's a purple dinosaur. I don't have it with me. It must be at home. But I have a couple of others that I couldn't resist. Okay, I have a small pile of little friends here to show you. So one of these is not like the other, so I'll show that first. I got this little wintry mouse. It's so cute. I think I ordered this with my mitten blockers, but she's adorable. She's a little bit sparkly, and she has this cute little candy cane, and it's just totally precious. I've used this all winter so far. I used it on this project because it matched. So yeah, I love my little winter mouse. And when you order from Lindsay, you can pick what kind of attachment you want. I always get the round stitch marker rings, but I decided this time I would try a few of these large clasps. So I got a couple like this, but they're nice and lightweight. And then she also did a collection of these 5 little foresty animals wearing sweaters. And as I was just deeply in love with each of them, I got all of them. I'll start with this one that I think I accidentally mutilated. I'm not sure how, but he's lost an ear. I noticed it as I was knitting this, that he suddenly had an ear missing, and I'm not sure if my daughter grabbed it or if I snagged it on something, but he's still so cute nonetheless. This little bear with a yellow sweater. And then we have the possum. So cute. He has kind of a pinky, purple, red sweater. We have a raccoon. I love this one. He has a red sweater. I love all of them. And then a fox with a blue sweater. I actually haven't used this one yet. I just took it out of the bag. And same with this one. I just took it out of the bag. A badger in a green sweater. So they are so cute. I have one last thing to show, and then I'll let you guys go. But I have a very sweet friend, and I'm not going to mention her name because I've been so mentally overwhelmed. And anyway, I'm not going to mention her name because I failed to ask her if she was comfortable with that, and I wouldn't want to do so. I don't know if she watches these, but I wouldn't want to in case she wasn't. So I'll just say this is from a very sweet friend. She's been a customer at the shop for a long time, but we've definitely developed a friendship. And yeah, she's super awesome. And so I was just blown away when she sent me this incredibly sweet gift. It really means a lot to me. I think as a yarn store owner and as a person who already has plenty of yarn, I don't tend to receive yarn as gifts. So this was such a surprise and one of my most cherished gifts like ever. So I'm so grateful. First, when I opened the box, I found this on the top and it is beautiful. Obviously there's lots of paper cranes, which is like my favorite thing ever. And just looking at this instantly made me feel like comforted. It's really sweet. It's called The Night Voyage and it's a coloring book. So I'm very excited because I actually am a painter, but it's been a long time since I've allowed myself the time to paint. So I'm excited to have this as an outlet for kind of getting some of that version of my creativity out there. My husband's going to let me use his Prismacolor pencils, and I'm really going to have a very nice time with this. It's just beautiful. So this will be a lot of fun to color. And then she sent me a bunch of yarn. So both of these, all of these yarns are from Ba Yarns or Ba Yarn, B-A-A-H yarn. Of course, you know, the sheep Ba. She sent me some really beautiful yarns. So this is I'm going to assume this is La Jolla, and it's 100% superwash merino wool. It's 400 yards and 115 grams, which is a nice combination. Yeah, that's really nice and exciting. This color is beautiful. It's called Frozen. It's really, really pretty. So this is just the perfect amount for me to make a pretty sizable sweater for myself. So I don't know if this will be a pullover or a cardigan, but it is extremely squishy since it's like the 2-ply merino. This will be something very nice. So I'm going to definitely put a lot of thought into what I make with this. I love these. These ones are super fun. And this base is extremely luxurious. These are 80% fine superwash merino wool, 10% cashmere, and 10% nylon. These are 400 yards to 100 grams. And this base, I guess, is called Savannah. And this colorway is called Grapefruit Sangria. This is a highly variegated yarn. And I have 4 of them. So I have no idea what these will grow up to be, but they're gorgeous and I can't wait to make something. I will probably only need 2 or 3 to make something for myself. So the last one, I'll make something matching for my daughter, which is, you know, exciting that we can have something matching. But again, I have to put some thought into what these will become, but they're so pretty. So thank you, friend, whose name I will not say just in case. Thank you so much. I'm very excited. So with that, I need to kind of wrap up. This will be, as always, and per usual, a very long video. I wish I could record once a week because then, or once every 2 weeks even, because then I wouldn't have so much to say all at once. I hope that you all are enjoying the end of the year and the start of the new year, and hope you're having a nice winter. We're having very moderate weather. It keeps like going down to the 40s and then it shoots back up to the 60s and vice versa. So I'm hoping for some consistent cold days soon. I did do some garden cleanup in our flower garden. I trimmed back some of the stuff that we had that was like really prolific in the summertime and in the fall. We cut out some of the dead stuff. I planted my ranunculus corms finally. That's pretty much all the planting I'm going to do for this winter. I have lots of other bulbs from last year that will hopefully come back well. So I'm very excited for spring. I have been dealing with a lot emotionally. I've been very overwhelmed, like professionally and just personally. I'm really struggling. I'm trying my hardest not to, but I'm ready for winter to pass. I love the cold weather, but I really need the gifts of the garden again, because that is where I find joy and solace and what I feel upbuilt by. I really struggle. I do experience clinical depression. I have for a long time. Thankfully, I would say overall, it's not really a factor in my life at all, the way it used to be especially. But this year, it's kind of getting to me. I don't know if it's the season. I don't usually have seasonal affective disorder, but anyway, I'm kind of struggling. So I'm ready for the spring, and I want to just nestle into all of my knits, but I have so much work I need to do for the business. So yeah, I'm hoping that within the next few days, I'll record my 2023 wrap-up video just for fun and maybe talk a little bit about my plans for 2024. I talked a little bit about those today, but there's still plenty that I have in mind for the coming year. And yeah, so, okay, well, enjoy your making and in whatever form that takes. And I hope that you enjoy a nice cozy winter and that you are doing well. I will talk to you guys soon. Bye.